Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am going to be ranking every OG POI on the Fortnite maps. So it'll be from chapter 1 season 1 up until chapter 1 season X. Now if this is not something you normally watch my channel for, yes, I was a Fortnite kid, and although I don't play it as much as I used to, and there's still one thing I have very closely in common with my old Fortnite kid self: I still get no bitches. As you can see on this tier list right now, there are a lot of like the landmarks, like prison, container yard, you know, stuff like that. I'm not gonna count. I'll still mention them, but they're not going on the list, you know what I mean? Because they're not actual, like, you know, I don't wanna. This is going to be very heavily influenced by my nostalgia for whatever reason, whether it be me playing it or watching people play it on YouTube, because I used to watch YouTubers play stuff, you know, everyone did, right? So if you're looking for somebody to dive deep into, you know, exactly how much loot you can get, all this extra shit, yeah, I may as well click off the video right away. This is personal bias. Let's get directly into it, starting off with good old Tilted Towers. I've had a lot of experience with Tilted Towers back in the day. Not necessarily good. I'd say the only good experiences I've had with Tilted Towers is, you know, maybe like a handful out of the hundreds of games I've dropped there, and also watching other YouTubers play there, because every time they dropped there it was sick because they were actually good at the game. Not me. Nuh-uh. I was ass. I still am ass. But Tilted Towers, I do really like it. It is an iconic place. It's probably the most iconic place, and rightfully so. It's a great place to get better at the game because there's a lot of people that drop there. So you get a healthy mix of ass blasting, but also being able to blast some ass. I don't think that I like Tilted as much as other people do. I think I'm gonna put it at A tier. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not the best place in my opinion. It's definitely not my favorite. Next up though, we got Pleasant Park. I've actually had more experience with Pleasant than I have with Tilted. Man, we used to drop there all the time, me and my friends. I drop there solo here and there. I don't play solo as much as I used to. You know, it's a good place. I actually really like it, and I think I actually have no problem putting this in A tier as well, because I like them about the same. Next up, we got Retail Row, and I was a big fan of this. I think retail is iconic, and when it was gone, a lot of people missed it, including myself. I don't think it's on the same level as Pleasant, so I think it can go in high B tier. You know, I used to watch Daquan drop there all the time. Man, those are the days, bro, for real. Next up, we got Greasy Grove, and it's another place that I really liked. I think it's a great place, man, and I think I have it right up there with retail. I think it's on high B tier. They're just overall great. Not a big fan of Taco Time, which I'm not gonna count as its own POI, even though it was, but it was still Greasy Grove with periodic interruptions. Like, it wasn't anything too stupid, although it led for some funny moments. So next up, we got Salty Springs, and I mean, it's iconic. It's going in A right away. It's not my favorite. It is really up there for me. Tilted, Pleasant, Salty, all kind of equal in my opinion. I still drop there to this day in OG. But yeah, overall, very good place. Love it. Next up, we got Lonely Lodge, and I'm gonna be honest with you, the design is cool, but I didn't drop here often. Yeah, I probably dropped there 50 times in my entire life, and for that reason, I think I'm gonna put it in probably D tier, just for the simple fact that I haven't really played it enough. I mean, it is cool, but it's not at all my favorite or my go-to. I don't think I would ever willingly go to Lonely anymore. Maybe my opinion will change, but for now, it's going in D tier. Next up, we got Fatal Fields, and let me tell you something. This is my favorite place to drop, other than the container yard, also known as Crates. Crates is my absolute go-to, but a very close second is Fatal Fields. I've had so much experience dropping here in solo, duo, squads, trios, you know, you name it. Now, I know it doesn't have the best loot, but I don't give a fuck. There's a lot of different spots around it, like there's the fork and knife. I almost want to count Grandma's house, but it's a little far away, but like that's an option if you want to, you know, rotate over. There's a lot of options there. You know, a good amount of people would go there, but not like a crazy amount. Like, it wasn't crazy popular. There was usually at least a couple pretty hectic fights there, but for the most part, it gave me a decent amount of time to loot up and, you know, eventually give the person that killed me all my guns. Next up, we got Anarchy Acres. I feel like it was you either liked Fatal or you liked Anarchy. I started playing season 4 of Fortnite. I did play before season 4, but that's when I like officially started. Anarchy Acres was cool. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't nothing special to me. I wasn't exactly sad to see it go because I liked Fatal a lot more. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Next up, we got Tomato Town, and I love Tomato Town actually. There's not a lot of loot. That's like the #1 thing about it, and also one of the biggest reasons why people don't like it, because there's not a lot of loot compared to other places. If you count the houses and the bridge, then there's a decent amount of loot, but if you just count what's in Tomato Town, then there's not a crazy amount. But I didn't need that, you know. It's always a fun place to drop. I think for me personally, just because of nostalgia and just because I personally liked it, I'm gonna put it in B tier, but it's nowhere near Greasy or Retail. I just think it's a good B tier. It's solid. Next up, we got Dusty Depot. I didn't really go Dusty Depot. I started playing after it was gone. It did come back in the later seasons of chapter 1, and it was cool. And then obviously especially in OG. So it has grown on me, but not to the point where I like it. So I think I'm gonna put it high C tier. Next up, we got Snobby Shores. I have a good amount of experience with this place. It was kind of like a hidden gem for a while there, because not a lot of people go there. If you go there, you probably go there a lot. I think Snobby Shores is pretty sick. It kind of sucks because, like all the places on the edge of the map, it's usually out of the circle, or at least out of the first one. But it's also just a really solid place. You know, I think it can go low B tier for me. I do like it, but I don't really like it. You know what I mean? Next up, we got Flush Factory. It's a good place. There's not much I can say about it though, to be honest. It most definitely was not my go-to. I think it's a pretty easy, like, bottom of C tier for me. The design is cool. There's a good amount of loot there, but just me personally, it wasn't my place, man. Next up, we got Shifty Shafts, and Shifty Shafts is one of my go-tos actually. Me and my duo partner, man, we used to drop here all the time. It was always fun, man. I'm gonna be honest. I think Shifty's going in S tier for me, and maybe I'll do some like rip off of Luke the Notable, and maybe I'll do like 100 drops, or well, I'm kind of in the ghetto. Maybe I'll do like 25 drops. Make a video of me dropping 25 times or something like that, because I think that'd be pretty cool. Next up, we got Wailing Woods, and Wailing Woods, it was always kind of an inconvenience, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think it's a cool area. You get max wood right away, but that's really the only good thing about it. The loot's really bad. It's pretty small. There's like that maze there and the big building in the middle, the sniper tower or whatever. I think this is gonna go in D tier, but it's gonna go below Lonely Lodge actually. Now next up, we got Loot Lake, and I'm gonna be honest, this shit's going directly in F tier. Now the design of it's pretty cool. I like the factories at the top. I like the house in the middle. I like the houses on the outside. It's cool, right? Like, I don't mind it at all, but it's the damn lake. It's just the whole name about it, honestly, is just lacking. Loot and lake. The loot, it didn't have a lot of loot. And lake, the lake was probably the most annoying part about it. You had to build like pyramids just to have a hope in hell of getting across without wanting to throw your controller out the window, or your keyboard if you're on mouse keyboard. I don't know. Next up is Haunted Hills, and I think this is super underrated in the sense that the design is super sick, but it's so far to the edge of the map that like not many people go there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the Junk Junction and stuff like that. It is a good place though. I actually really like the design of it, but I didn't drop there too many times. I think because of that, I'm gonna put it at the very low of C tier. Next up is Moisty Mire. I did not understand the hype for 1 second. This place is super overrated for me. I used to drop there in Prison a lot when I first started playing because my friends liked it. It's not for me, man. Prison's cool. Even in OG, I've tried dropping there, but it's never a place where I'd be like, hey, let's go Moisty. And I think after like the, you know, the maybe week long of like, oh, it's back, people were starting to treat it like how they did before. Like, this place is ass. Now, I could be absolutely talking out of my ass, but that's just my opinion on it, right? Moisty is at best for me. I could put it at the top of D tier. Junk Junction. I think it's pretty underrated. I always enjoyed it whenever I dropped there. They had the llama in the background. I always thought that was pretty cool that you could edit that stuff. Once again, it's so far to the edge of the map that almost no one drops there. It's usually like an AFK drop spot, but I always enjoyed it. I never dropped there a lot, but I did always really like it, so I think I'm gonna put it in C tier. Next up, we got Lucky Landing, and I always thought Lucky Landing was super sick. The loot was great, the place was great, the design was great. There's usually a good amount of comp there. It was some heat, I'm not gonna lie, and I really like dropping there. I'm gonna put it in low A tier. The only downfall to Lucky Landing is obviously its placement on the map. It's a small place at the very bottom of the map, so not a lot of circles, but it didn't need that for me. I always just loved it. Next up, we got Risky Reels. Now, Risky Reels was amazing for me. I really liked it. I used to drop there a lot in duos with some of my friends. It's just a really solid place. There's a good amount of loot, a lot of comp. I think I could put it above Greasy in B tier. Now we got Dusty Divot, the OG Dusty Divot in season 4 with the crystals and without all the trees. I think that's an A tier. I really love the crystals. Don't get any ideas. And it's just a fun place to drop, man. I'm gonna be honest. Especially, you know, everyone was going there on the first day of season 4 from the videos that I watched. Then when I started going there, people were still dropping. Like halfway through it, people were still going there a lot. Now we got Dusty Divot in season 5. I did really like it still, but I didn't like it as much. And I'm gonna be honest, I think it's gonna go probably below Greasy. I think that's fair, right between Greasy and Tomato. I mean, they got rid of the crystals. They just added a bunch of trees. It wasn't anything special. It was just, you know, you can get mats there. There was coverage from the outside, which was a plus, but it kind of took out all the fun having the crystals removed. I still really liked it, but it was a definite downgrade from season 4. Next up, we got in season 5, Lazy Links. So they took out Anarchy Acres and put in Lazy Links. I thought it was pretty sick. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B tier. This is when the golf carts were introduced, so this was like where they were, because it's obviously, you know, a golf course. So it would be there a lot. It was always popping. Actually, maybe not the bottom of B tier. Now that I think about it, maybe it could go above Dusty. Next up, we got Tomato Temple. I think I liked it just as much as I liked regular Tomato Town, so I think I'm gonna put it with regular Tomato Town. A lot of people don't like this place a lot because there's a lot of like weird places in it, but I really enjoyed it when it was out. Next up, we got Paradise Palms. This place was sick. I absolutely loved Paradise. I think it's gonna go directly in A tier, probably above Lucky. It's right up there for me with Salty, Pleasant. It's almost equal, but it's a little lower. I think when season 5 dropped, obviously they took out Moisty Mire and replaced it with like the desert biome. I think they absolutely killed it with Paradise. I think they did an amazing job, and it was like such a memorable place. Loot Lake season 6 was cool. It was better than Loot Lake, but it wasn't my favorite, you know. We also got Leaky Lake. Technically it's a different spot, so I guess I could put it in the bottom of D tier. Like, it was cool, but I think it was only really used for the unvaulting of some shit. Like, I remember there was an event, I don't know, we had to break a block or something. We all brought back the drum gun, and then everyone loved it, but then when it actually came back, everyone hated it because it wasn't good. But then they nerfed it, so it was all bad, and then no one wanted it, and then, you know, it was a whole thing. Leaky Lake just, it doesn't really, I don't care. I'm gonna be fully honest, I don't care. Next up, we got Polar Peak. I have actually a lot of memories of dropping Polar Peak because I played a lot in season 7. I think I like it better than season 5 Dusty. It was a really good spot. That sword that they had was absolutely busted for a while, but then they took it out of the game, thankfully. Other than that shit show, it was a really good spot. That whole Ice King thing was really sick to me back in the day. All right, next up we got Frosty Flights, and you know, it was Frosty Flights, right? I liked it more than Anarchy, I guess. It had the planes, which was cool, but it wasn't really, you know, it was solid. Not my thing though. Happy Hamlet, sort of same deal. I'll put it right under it. Literally the same deal, except it didn't have planes. It was a good place, don't get me wrong. I just didn't really like dropping there. Greasy Grove season 7. It was just Greasy Grove, but without access to 90% of it. There was like 2 places where you could break through the tops of, and then that was about it. Next up, we got the Block. I thought the Block was an absolute joke. There were some cool creative ideas with it, but I just like, why would you take out risky reels for it? I thought it was so dumb. I didn't like it back then. I don't really like it now, so I think it's gonna go in F tier, but I'll take it over. You know, it's probably even with Loot Lake, to be honest. I'm not gonna choose which one I like more, because if they're both in F tier, then they're both ass to me. Next up, we got Sunny Steps, and I actually dropped Sunny Steps a lot. This was season 8, and it was actually a really solid spot. I think it's below Greasy, because Greasy, like, these are like borderline A tier, but I think Sunny Steps was amazing. I used to drop there a lot because the volcano was there. They took out crates, which actually killed me inside, but Sunny Steps was a solid, it wasn't a replacement, but it was okay. It was solid. Next up, we got Lazy Lagoon, and you know, it was a place. I'm gonna put it in C tier, probably below Junk Junction. I liked it, but it was you know, it was just a place, man. I rarely ever drop Lazy Lagoon after the first week of season 8 dropping. So next up, we have Tomato Temple in season 8. It's the exact same as I think a Tomato Temple. B tier. Tilted and Retail Destroy were kind of cool, but they were kind of just annoying. I don't know if I want to put them on here just because they're the same thing. They're definitely lower than the others. Like, these are probably both C tier. Neo Tilted though, I think Neo Tilted was actually pretty cool. I think I'm gonna put it in like, probably, I'm gonna put it ahead of Tomato Town. I actually really liked Neo Tilted. I thought it was a pretty cool idea. It wasn't my favorite or near there by any means, but it was pretty cool. Next up, we have Mega Mall. It was a knockoff retail. It wasn't bad at all. It's probably like bottom of C tier for me. Gotham City, another spin-off of Tilted. I'm not gonna rank it, but it'd probably be like C tier. Tilted Town, you couldn't build there. It was a cool idea, but like, it just didn't, I don't know, it wasn't my thing. Dusty Diner. I thought Dusty Diner was actually a really good way to bring Dusty back. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I used to drop here a lot when he was here. I loved it. So many good memories coming from here, watching YouTube videos and all that stuff, and also just dropping here. Next up, we have Pressure Plant, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really like it. It's probably gonna sit at D tier. I didn't like it. Starting to sound like a spoiled 4-year-old at this point, but yeah, I just didn't like it. It wasn't my thing. I think I'm happy with this list. Fatal and Shifty are my favorite spots. I'm not even ashamed to say that. Tilted, Pleasant, Salty, Paradise, Lucky, Dusty Divot, and Dusty Diner, all up there for me as some of my favorites, but not my favorites. If you guys agree with my list, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you don't agree with it, tell me you hate me, tell me I suck, tell me I should never rank again. I'm actually preparing for the onslaught of never let bro rank again comments, which I'm ready for them. So if you don't think I should ever rate again, let me know in the comments. Tell me I'll never get bitches. Tell me I'm stupid. Whatever you want to tell me. It doesn't matter to me. If you like the content, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more. I'm gonna have more Fortnite content coming soon as well, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.